Pakistan is setting a new course for its technological future. At the BeiDou summit, Planning Minister Mohsin Naqvi championed Pakistan as the first foreign country to implement China's BeiDou navigation system. He stressed that this partnership, the focal point of a new tech corridor, is not just about navigation, it's about driving economic growth, creating jobs, and transforming key sectors like agriculture, aviation, and e-commerce, empowering the next generation of Pakistani scientists. A senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Major General Yahya Rahim Safavi, has urged Tehran to consider joining the newly signed Strategic Mutual Defense Pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Safavi described the agreement, which treats an attack on one as an attack on both, as a positive development. He suggested Iran and Iraq could join to form a wider regional security alliance, highlighting a desire for collective Islamic defense amid shifting geopolitical dynamics. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has formally apologized to Qatar for a recent Israeli missile strike in Doha that targeted Hamas leaders, which unintentionally killed a Qatari serviceman. The apology, made in a phone call from the White House, addressed the violation of Qatari sovereignty and is seen as a crucial step to encourage Qatar to resume its vital mediation efforts for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. North Korea has once again sent a clear, uncompromising message to the world. It will never surrender its nuclear arsenal. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, a North Korean vice foreign minister stated that demanding denuclearization is akin to asking them to abandon their sovereignty and right to survival. The official reaffirmed Pyongyang's stance that its nuclear weapons are a non-negotiable tool for national security. Welcome to Pakistangeo Defence Update. For the latest on regional security and military analysis, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an intel drop. Pakistan is actively courting U.S. investment by showcasing its vast potential in the critical minerals sector. In a key diplomatic push, high-level delegations are engaging with American firms in Washington. This effort recently led to a $500 million investment deal with U.S. Strategic Metals, focusing on developing facilities for rare earth elements, copper, and gold. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's office highlights these agreements as crucial steps to modernize Pakistan's economy, attract global investment, and ensure a stable supply chain of minerals essential for defense, aerospace, and advanced technology, a direct move to challenge regional dependencies and solidify bilateral ties. The recent Mutual Defense Pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, while a significant regional development, is being viewed by some U.S. analysts not as a competing alliance, but potentially as burden sharing. This perspective suggests the pact could help stabilize the region by enhancing deterrence against shared threats, aligning with Washington's long-term goal for allies to take greater responsibility for their own security. However, the agreement, which commits both nations to joint defense, also raises complex questions regarding its potential impact on U.S. military policy and the broader strategic balance in the Middle East, particularly concerning nuclear-capable Pakistan's role. The new Saudi-Pakistan Mutual Defense Pact has a far-reaching and potentially destabilizing implication for South Asia. The agreement explicitly states that aggression against one nation will be considered an attack on both. Analysts suggest that under this clause, any renewed Indian military operation against Pakistan, even a limited one, could now be legally and diplomatically interpreted by the signatories as an attack on Saudi Arabia. This dramatically escalates the stakes of the India-Pakistan rivalry, effectively drawing a major Gulf power directly into the security calculus and defense planning of both South Asian nations. Following his meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif announced that the U.S. President has called for American firms to start investing in Pakistan immediately. The Prime Minister's office highlighted that the two leaders discussed strengthening the partnership, with Sharif earmarking key sectors for U.S. capital, agriculture, mining, technology, and energy. This push for direct U.S. corporate involvement signals a significant warming of bilateral relations, with a focus on economic cooperation to unlock Pakistan's vast resource potential and boost its technological and logistical capacity. The T20 Asia Cup final concluded with a surprising political spectacle. After defeating Pakistan, Team India refused to accept the winner's trophy from Asian Cricket Council Chairman Mohsin Naqvi. Naqvi also serves as Pakistan's Interior Minister and the Chairman of the Pakistan Cricket Board. According to reports, the Indian players remained a noticeable distance from the podium, leading to an inordinate delay in the presentation ceremony. The incident underscores the deeply entrenched diplomatic and political tensions that continue to spill over into the world of cricket between the two nations. The interim Taliban government has welcomed the joint stance taken by Russia, China, Iran, and Pakistan, opposing the re-establishment of any foreign military bases in Afghanistan or its surrounding region. Meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the four nations released a joint statement that reiterated their firm opposition to any U.S. military return, warning that such moves would threaten regional stability. The statement comes just days after President Donald Trump reportedly suggested seeking access to the Bagram Air Base, a proposal Kabul firmly rejected. India has issued a scathing rebuttal to Pakistan's response at the UN General Assembly. Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, without naming Pakistan, had strongly condemned the practice of a neighbor that is an epicenter of global terrorism. India later condemned Pakistan's use of its right of reply as an act of absurd theatrics. Indian diplomats asserted that Pakistan's decision to respond, despite not being named, was an implicit admission of its long-standing practice of cross-border terrorism, adding that its reputation speaks for itself. A recent Congressional Research Service report has brought Pakistan's long-range missile program under the U.S. legislative spotlight. The report follows the imposition of U.S. sanctions on key Pakistani entities, including the National Development Complex. U.S. officials state that Pakistan is developing increasingly sophisticated missile technology and larger rocket motors. They warn that if current trends continue, Pakistan could eventually develop the capability to strike targets well beyond South Asia, potentially including the United States. Islamabad has denied these claims, asserting its nuclear and missile programs are purely defensive and not aimed at the U.S., but the issue continues to raise real questions about its long-term strategic intentions. The Pakistan Navy has officially launched its Mangrove Plantation Campaign 2025. This major environmental drive, in collaboration with the Sindh and Balochistan Forest Departments and the International Union for Conservation of Nature, aims to bolster Pakistan's vital coastal ecosystems. Mangrove forests are hailed for their critical role in environmental defense, acting as a natural barrier against coastal erosion and natural disasters, protecting local communities, and serving as a carbon sink in the fight against climate change. That's all for today from Pakistangeo Defense. Hit subscribe and drop your opinion.